teachers are giving to the students, and then of course teacher observation is always an important assessment piece. In math, we have a brand new program this year called Everyday Math. Seeing some great things. When you walk into the classroom, the math that some of these students are doing is just amazing. And the teachers are working hard. We've had professional development that I'll mention in a little bit to get them comfortable using it. Again, priority standards are established. They're posted in the classrooms for math as well. The math coach works with teachers to improve instruction for Tier 2 students. Title I paraprofessionals and the interventionists are working with a group of students in the library also for Tier 3. Again, that's 5 days a week. It's a separate time block from the ELA. Our CARE program is offered in math as well for students. This year, because our reading program went so well, the PTA developed a Blast into Math program. And that was an effort to help our scores in math, especially with MCAS and AYP. So that's another incentive program that we're working with. Our math coach does a wonderful job monitoring our data, talking to the teachers about data. What does the data mean? Where do we need to go from here? And Study Island is a technology program. We use it at school, and the students also can go home and log on at home, and it's just games and things that they're doing to help support their math skills. Math coach sends out monthly articles to the staff. Newsletters are sent out through the district coaches. They all get together and they alternate their newsletters. We've had training on the Everyday Math program for paraprofessionals as well, because they're helping our students learn, and we felt it was important for them to be in on some of the training. We've had training for the Everyday Math program for our special education staff, because they're working with the same curriculum for students. The consulting with the reading math interventionist to provide consistent training, so everyone's working together. Our math coach is consulting with the interventionist at Hammond to make sure that what we're doing at Minot, we're also enforcing at Hammond, and then they meet weekly to across the district. So we're making sure that we're doing similar things across the district. And again, the math coach provides model lessons to staff. What do we still need to do? Administer the GMAID assessment. We did it in September. Now we need to do it in June, so we can it's a pre and post test, so we can look at that data. Complete the professional development for Everyday Math. We've had a series of trainings through our in-service days. We have another one coming up in June. We'll complete the Blast into Math program by the PTA and have a ceremony for that. Finish the creation of the math benchmarks as well. That should be done by May and June. And we have math MCAS in May. For our summative and formative assessments, everyday math assessments that are in the books that the teachers are doing, and they even have daily ones called math boxes. So as the teacher teaches a new lesson, there's a page where right away it gives an assessment of the students to see if they understood that particular lesson. And it's a quick check for the teachers in order to see if they understood that. There's also some review of lessons that were previously taught, and there's a couple of examples of lessons coming up, and the teacher has an idea of a baseline to see if students know what's coming, or does he or she really need to put a lot more emphasis on that particular skill. Again, we use CBM in our progress monitoring. We're using our benchmark assessments and teacher observations. Under professional development, although this is not a separate goal we have, it's all integrated. We've given workshops for teachers on 6+1 traits writing program. We're in our second year of that implementation, kindergarten through grade 5. We have 40 minutes of collaboration meetings with grade level staff. I advocated for having a substitute come in for the day, and this year through the scheduling, all the teachers have the same prep period. We can't mandate what they do with their prep period, but what this allows is for them all to get together. We had one where the math coach sat down with all of them, reviewed the data, assessments, they looked at the Common Core standards, and then a substitute went into the classroom later that day, so the teacher who missed the prep was able to make that up. So they still had their planning period. And they appreciated that time. So we'll be doing that for ELA, and we'll do it periodically, maybe every 6 weeks or so as time needs. Mimeo is a demonstration using everyday math. Mimeo is the new technology that we just received. We've had workshops in data, and I know that's your favorite word, Dr. Sylvia, from previous years, data. And we've had in-service workshops for literacy for grades 3 through 5 as well. In-service workshops throughout the year for everyday math. We have a new science program for grades 3 through 5, so the teachers have had workshops on that program. We also have offered our own in-service workshops for the National Association for the Education of Young Children, which we summarize as NIAC. Hammond has gone through a reaccreditation program. We've been accredited for the past 5 years, and every 5 years you have to renew that. So the last day before the winter vacation in December, we had 2 assessors that came out and went through all of the records, and we'll know within 90 days if we've been reaccredited. We also need to go through this process for the East Wareham School. We go it through kindergarten because of the kindergarten grant we have. We're going through it for East. We did have it before for preschool, but when you close the school, you're no longer accredited, so we have to start that process back up. And there's also been social emotional learning training for the paraprofessionals at the East Wareham School through the Center on the Social and Emotional Foundations for Early Learning, CEFL is what they call it. And Mrs. Morgan was instrumental in providing that training for the paraprofessionals as well. One of the goals we have on our school improvement plan is MCAS. So for ELA, last year at Minot Forest, we made AYP in all the categories, aggregate and subgroups. Our CPI went from 81.9 to 83.6. We made AYP based on meeting our improvement target. We're still in improvement year 1 for subgroups. When we make AYP again, our status will change to no status, because in order to come off the improvement list, you have to have 2 years of making AYP in a row, and that's how you change the status. We've done that before, and we know we can do it again. In math, we did not make AYP in all of our categories, aggregate and subgroups. Our CPI had gone down 79.2 to 76.6. We did make AYP in the aggregate the year before in math, and because of that, we're only identified as improvement year 1 for subgroups. We're really looking forward, since we had this new math program, on how that's going to affect our scores. Technology, we've been trying to work a lot with technology this year. It is a specific goal we have in our plan. We've had training on using the document camera, again, new equipment that we were able to purchase. Training on using the Mimeo equipment, training on using technology portion of everyday math online, and that we are very fortunate that the district was able to purchase the online access for our staff. We use technology for the computer-based management assessment, because the students go into the computer lab and they can take that assessment online. The school website is updated frequently. You can see current events. My monthly newsletter is always posted on the school website, so if you ever need some reading, it's right there. You'll know what's happening in our schools. And several of our teachers have their own web pages, so there's links to their web pages as well that you can look at. Everyday Math has the online access, as I mentioned, and we were able to purchase the equipment, such as the document cameras and the Mimeo, with PTA funds and with Makepeace grant funds, and it also helped us to purchase more smart boards. So we've done a lot, I think, in this past year with technology. We purchased 2 laptops for Hammond and East, purchased 2 laptops for Minot Forest. One of the laptops can be used to Skype, because I know that is a goal we'd like to do with our Cape Verde partners when they have that capability. So now we have a laptop that actually has a webcam that will be able to do that. We purchased desktop computers to begin the replacement process, and we started with the office computers. It seemed one side put the purchase order in, then everybody's computer started, breaking down. So the computers are old, and when you only have a couple $1,000s, it doesn't purchase a whole lot, but at least it's a start, and we're trying. Lexia is a reading program that's also used. The teachers use it. They have a disc they put into the computer, and it's another reading technology piece for the students to use. Rainforest.math is a website that we use in the computer lab as another math program for students. And they love the computer, they love technology, and it makes math fun to them. Study Island, as I mentioned before, we use it in the computer lab. We can also use this program for grades 3 through 5 to develop some of the benchmarks we've done. So again, the students go into the computer lab during their study skills time. They take this quick assessment. And everyday math is used in school. It can also be used at home. Next goal we have is community. We use the Global Connect system for family notification. They received it all yesterday when the school committee meeting was canceled. They received it today when school was canceled. We do reminders for a lot of reasons. The local media is always informed about school events, whether it's the television. We contact the newspaper to come in when we have things going on so we can promote things. If the photographers or the news reporters can't come to the school, we'll take the pictures, we'll write an article, and then we'll submit it to the newspapers as well. Again, my newsletters are posted on the school website for the entire community to see, not just our school. We have a partnership with Coastline Elderly Services for a foster grandparent program, and this has been happening for several years. This is, I believe, my 6th year of Mine at Forest, and it was in place even before I came to Mine at Forest. So Grandma Enos comes in periodically and works with students, and everybody loves her. And then advertise and visit the preschool centers in town to promote kindergarten registration. So we keep in close contact with the private preschools. We have countdown to kindergarten, and we try to work with them on what they need to do to have their students ready for school. And that will all be in my March newsletter about kindergarten registration. Resources, final goal that we have in the school improvement plan. As you know from the last school committee meeting, we refreshed our application for the Mass School Building Authority for a renovation and expansion of Mine at Forest. Keeping our fingers crossed on that one. We had to relocate 2 grade 1 classrooms at Minot to Hammond because of classroom space. We have district programs at each elementary school. They are special education programs. In the Hammond, we have a transitional grade 1 program that also has students from the Deaca side of town. So when we see that there's a need, we try to establish programs to maximize our teaching staff. We have just about established a playground committee to explore new playground structures for East Wareham and Hammond schools. So we did have one meeting last week, and we'll go forth with that. And then the NIAC accreditation process completed for Hammond, and we should be hearing soon about that. I'm sure you have questions.
Thank you very much, Principal Siemens. And again, to all of the people that came tonight, it's unfortunate that we had to meet tonight, because I remember on our snow days, even though you pay in June, but it's kind of nice to cuddle up to the fireplace and have a nice evening at home, and we forced you out tonight. Thank you again for coming. Any questions at all on the presentation?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What if you don't have a fireplace?
What if you don't have a fireplace?
On the interventionists and the paras, how many interventionists are at your school?
At Mine at Forest, I have a reading coach, a math coach, and 1 interventionist that does both reading and math. And then there's 2 paraprofessionals.
So
and at Hammond, I have 1 part-time.
Right. So
Interventionist.
the paras are more of an aid, where the interventionists can get involved in the actual teaching.
Right, and the paraprofessionals work in the library with the interventionist, so they're directly supervised by the interventionist.
Okay. On the Houghton Mifflin, you said that was a book. Do you have the software the program?
Not with that particular series. It's probably about 4 or 5 years old now, but that is the Basil reader that we're using for that one.
I wasn't sure what that was, but I went online, and it seems like a pretty good program. And as you said, when kids are involved with computers and things like that, it seems to help. Mm-hmm. It was sort of like, are you smarter than a 3rd grader? Well, I flunked. And I think I have one more, Joe. You're not up and running yet on Skype. Is anyone else at that level using that, to your knowledge, or is that in the high school, Doctor, through you, Mr. Chairman?